My sister's wedding seemed perfect until my husband whispered, "We have to leave now." When I asked why, he said, "I'll explain in the car." In the silence of the drive home, he finally said, "You really didn't notice?" The real purpose of that wedding was. The California afternoon sunlight sparkled as it reflected off the chandeliers in the Grand Pacific Hotel. Standing in front of the dressing room mirror, I felt a flutter of excitement in my heart as I applied my lipstick one final time. Today was my sister Jessica's wedding day. Jessica had finally found her soulmate, and I was filled with joy wanting to celebrate her from the bottom of my heart. "Maggie, are you ready?" My husband, Robert, called out as he knocked on the door. His voice carried its usual gentleness mixed with the nervous tension that comes with important occasions. "Just 2 more minutes," I replied, giving myself a final check in the mirror. The navy blue dress Jessica had chosen for me, saying "This color suits you best," was simple yet elegant. Robert entered the room, his physique, honed from years as a firefighter, looked even more striking in his well-tailored suit. We'd been married for 12 years, but my heart still skipped a beat whenever I saw him. "You look absolutely beautiful," he said, placing his hands on my shoulders. "Jessica must look stunning today too." "I'm sure she does." Yesterday, at the rehearsal, she gave me just a glimpse of her wedding dress, and it was truly breathtaking. I turned to look into his eyes. Robert's gentle brown eyes always held that unchanging love. We didn't have children, but our days together were completely fulfilling. "Do you think David is a good man?" I asked with a hint of concern. "Yes, I spoke with him at dinner last night. He's honest and intelligent." He talked passionately about running his restaurant, and most importantly, his eyes were gentle when he looked at Jessica. Robert's words reassured me. Jessica had struggled with relationships in her younger years, and had always worried about her, but this time was different. Since meeting David, Jessica seemed much more settled and happy than before. "When you're ready, could you head to the chapel first? I want to check on Jessica one last time before I join you." "Sure, but don't get too emotional and cry. You'll ruin your beautiful makeup." Robert said this with playful laughter. It was true. I was prone to tears. Whether watching movies or reading books, I'd tear up at any touching scene. Today I was certain I'd cried during the vows. Walking down the hallway to the bridal suite, I traced through childhood memories. I had been an introverted child who loved reading, while Jessica was lively and sociable, always surrounded by friends at school. At community events, she was always the center of attention. Dad always praised Jessica's social skills. "Jessie has a special charm that draws people to her," he'd often tell Mom. Meanwhile, I was usually described as Maggie as serious and hardworking, but she could use more initiative. After Dad passed away 5 years ago, Jessica and I grew closer than we'd ever been as adults, walking our own paths. The childhood competitiveness had naturally faded, especially after spending Dad's final days together. We'd come to appreciate the importance of family bonds. When I knocked on the bridal suite door, I heard Mom's voice from inside. "Margaret, come in, dear." Entering the room, I saw a bride more beautiful than I could have imagined. Jessica's wedding dress was a classic design with delicate lace accents on silk satin, perfectly highlighting her natural beauty. "Jessie, you look absolutely gorgeous." My voice trembled slightly with emotion. Jessica turned and smiled. Her smile held that special radiance that only truly happy women possess. "Thank you, Maggie. You look wonderful too." Mom, making final adjustments, said, "You both look so beautiful. Your father must be watching over this day from heaven." The three of us held hands and shared a quiet moment together. The chapel at the Grand Pacific Hotel was decorated like a scene from a movie. White roses and calla lily bouquets adorned the altar, and crystal chandeliers hanging from the ceiling sparkled in rainbow colors under the afternoon sunlight. Over 100 guests sat quietly, waiting for the ceremony to begin. In the solemn atmosphere, I sat next to Robert, looking around while holding the program. Relatives from both Dad's and Mom's sides, along with friends of the bride and groom, had gathered to celebrate this special day. Mom sat in the front row, occasionally dabbing her eyes with a handkerchief. She must have been feeling lonely that Dad wasn't there. "Those are Jessica's college friends over there," Robert whispered to me. They were dressed in beautiful gowns, chatting with affection for the bride. Jessica had been popular since her student days, and had maintained close relationships with many friends after graduation. I truly admired that about her. When the organ began to play, the entire venue fell silent. David took his place at the altar with the minister. He looked a bit nervous, but his expression was filled with deep love and determination. He was a man with quiet charm who had also achieved success as a restaurant owner. I could understand why Jessica had chosen him. The music announcing the bride's entrance began, as everyone in the venue turned around. First the bridesmaids walked down the aisle beautifully, then finally, Jessica appeared, supported by Mom's arm. I gasped, though I thought she looked beautiful in the dressing room. Seeing my sister in the sacred atmosphere of the chapel surpassed even that beauty. The train of her dress spread gracefully across the floor, and her veil fluttered gently with each step. Mom walked with pride, and perhaps a touch of melancholy, as she held Jessica's arm. As Jessica walked down the aisle, she smiled at each guest. When our eyes met, she gave me an especially warm smile. In that moment, tears nearly spilled from my eyes. My sister looked so truly happy, and I was overjoyed. When she reached David, Mom placed Jessica's hand in his. The moment they gazed at each other touched everyone in the venue. There was that special glow that only two people in love possess. The minister solemnly began the ceremony. "Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to celebrate the marriage of David Harrison and Jessica Winston." As the minister's words echoed through the venue, I remembered Jessica as a child. I could see her playing dress up in a toy wedding dress, holding wedding ceremonies with her dolls. Even then she'd harbored dreams of marriage, and now, finally, that dream was becoming reality. "David Harrison, do you take Jessica Winston to be your wife, to love, honor, comfort, and keep her in sickness and in health?" in prosperity and adversity, and forsaking all others, be faithful to her as long as you both shall live? I do. David's voice was strong and full of conviction. Tears glistened in his eyes too. Jessica Winston, do you take David Harrison to be your husband, to love, honor, comfort, and keep him in sickness and in health, in prosperity and adversity, and forsaking all others, be faithful to him as long as you both shall live? I do. Jessica's voice was clear and rang beautifully. Her expression held deep love along with hope for her new life. The ring exchange began. David placed the ring on Jessica's finger with trembling hands. Jessica, receive this ring as a sign of my love and commitment, and as a symbol that I have chosen you above all others. I will love you until God parts us. Jessica did the same, placing the ring on David's finger. David, receive this ring as a sign of my love and commitment, and as a symbol that I have chosen you above all others. I will love you until God parts us. I squeezed Robert's hand beside me. He was moved too, and gently squeezed back. He might have been remembering our own wedding 12 years ago in spring. Our ceremony in a small church had been filled with love, just like today. When the minister spoke his final words, the venue was enveloped in silence. Then, with the words, "You may kiss the bride," they shared their first kiss as husband and wife. The venue erupted in applause and cheers. I clapped with all my might while tears streamed down my face. I was genuinely happy that Jessica had found true happiness in marriage. As the newlyweds made their exit, the guests stood and gave them congratulatory applause. When Jessica passed by me, she gave me a special wave. Her smile was that of a woman experiencing the happiest moment of her life. After the ceremony, guests moved to the hotel lobby for cocktail hour. The venue was decorated with beautiful flower arrangements, and champagne and hors d'oeuvres were served. It really was a beautiful ceremony, Robert said, champagne in hand. Yes, it was perfect. Jessie looked so truly happy. It made me happy just watching her. Through the window, we watched the newlyweds photo session taking place in the garden. Jessica's dress illuminated by the sunset made her look as beautiful as an angel. Did you speak with David's mother? I asked. Yes, she's a very refined woman. She was so pleased about her son's marriage. She said she already thinks of Jessica as a daughter. Hearing this gave me even more peace of mind. Marriage isn't just between two people, it's a joining of families. When both families can accept each other and interact with love, the couple's married life will surely be richer. Mom came over to us. Her eyes were still moist with tears. Margaret, Robert, thank you so much for today. Your father must be pleased too. It really was a beautiful ceremony, I said, taking Mom's hand. Jessica looked so happy, and that's what matters most. David is a wonderful man too. I'm sure they'll build a good home together, Robert added kindly. As cocktail hour drew to a close, guests began being directed to the reception venue. The grand ballroom was decorated even more lavishly than the chapel. Each round table was adorned with roses of different colors, and the gentle glow of candles warmly illuminated the entire venue. We were seated at the family table. Mom, Robert, and I, along with David's parents and siblings, sat at the same table. Soon the newlyweds would make their entrance, and the reception would begin. I'm so excited. I smiled at Robert. Yes, it's going to be a wonderful evening, he replied, holding my hand. As elegant music filled the grand ballroom, the newlyweds entered hand in hand. The guests gave them a standing ovation, and the venue was filled with a warm atmosphere of celebration. Jessica had changed into a different reception dress, more comfortable for movement, yet still elegant. David was beaming, tenderly holding his new wife's hand. Ladies and gentlemen, we sincerely thank you for gathering here today to celebrate our marriage. David's speech began. His voice reached every corner of the venue, and his sincere character could be felt in every word. Meeting Jessica has been the greatest fortune of my life. I was captivated by her kindness, intelligence, and beauty, and every day brought new discoveries. Starting today, we begin our new life as husband and wife. With your warm support, we promise to build a home filled with love. As applause filled the venue, Jessica also took the microphone. Everyone, thank you so much for celebrating this special day with us. I especially want to thank my mother and my sister Margaret for all their help with today's preparations. It's sad that my father isn't here, but I believe he's watching over us from heaven. I felt tears welling up whenever Dad was mentioned. Emotions always overflowed like this. Robert placed his hand on my shoulder, gently comforting me, and David, Jessica continued, meeting you completely changed my life. With your love supporting me, I was able to become my true self. I am truly happy to be able to walk through life with you from now on. After the speeches, preparations for the toast began. Waiters circulated among the tables, pouring champagne. Golden bubbles danced in my glass as it was filled. Ladies and gentlemen, please raise your glasses, the master of ceremonies announced. As everyone in the venue stood and raised their glasses, I also stood with Robert and directed my glass toward the distant newlyweds. To David and Jessica's everlasting happiness, cheers, cheers. A great cheer rose from the entire venue, and the beautiful sound of clinking glasses could be heard. I sipped my champagne while praying sincerely for my sister's happiness. In that moment, I felt the special nature of this day. Anew after the toast, it was time for dinner. The hotel chef's carefully prepared course meal would be served table by table. I looked at the menu card while seated. From appetizers through soup, fish, meat, and dessert, a luxurious spread was described. What a wonderful menu, I said to Mom beside me. Yes, Jessica and David went through many tastings to choose this. The beef Wellington main course is especially David's favorite. I wonder if it's a popular menu at his restaurant too. It seems so. We should go eat there sometime. While enjoying conversation with Mom, the waiter brought the appetizer. Beautifully plated smoked salmon canapes and colorful vegetable tranche were placed before me. both beautiful to look at and elegantly aromatic, truly worthy of the Grand Pacific Hotel's cuisine. The table conversation was lively too. David's parents were warm-hearted people, and their chat with Mom was pleasant. David's brother also had a cheerful personality and entertained us with interesting stories from the restaurant industry. I hadn't enjoyed such a relaxed meal atmosphere in a long time. After the appetizer, soup was served. The corn and lobster bisque was creamy with an elegant flavor. Robert also said, "This is delicious," while eating with satisfaction. "The fish course is next," I said with anticipation. But then it happened.